Bob Lawley Show. The news.
Hello, my fellow Americans. The Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I'm your fearless host. I've been lost at sea, apparently. Man, am I getting an earful about that. Listen, guys, it's just Christmas time. You know, we're looking out into horizons of opportunity. Most of this stuff from the left is psychopathic white noise. You know, not to be poo-pooed, but quite frankly, it's almost like watching some sort of like bird fight in the deep south. A lot of fecal matter involved, a lot of tomfoolery, very little teeth. So my motivation is down. I'm not going to lie to you, but we're going to get back in the saddle here, cover some news. Some real sad terror news up front. Listen, you guys have probably heard already about the Tunisian bomber in Berlin. First of all, I have a lot of friends living in Germany. Second of all, I study international news. Look, this is a direct manifestation of insane immigration policy spearheaded by leftist ideology. This guy was tracked to one of the gaggle that came into Germany under Merkel's, debacle. Some sort of paper bureaucracy loophole kept him from getting the hi-ho boot in the butt, and he murdered Germans. He murdered innocent people. The manhunt is underway, at least as I speak to you now. They found the guy's ID in his truck, so not, he's got like a, Democrat voter room temperature IQ apparently, but that didn't stop him from slaughtering people, and unfortunately that generally doesn't. Just a lesson, I think, to the free world, but at the expense of more innocent blood that is now painting the streets of Berlin. Listen, you can talk piety, which, by the way, is just covering leftist shenanigans, PC shenanigans, but you can talk piety, but it doesn't remove reality from your plate. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So the left will lecture you on being a horrible person because you don't want to just swing open the doors of your sovereign nation to people who share an ideology, a class of civilizations directly opposed to you that has a track record as long as Santa Claus's Christmas list of murdering people in the name of Allah. And of course, your president is quick to the microphone to, lecture white America. By the way, I've always said this: if the Democratic Party and the left, not only in America but West at large, had 1/16 as much motivation to criticize, call out, and reform Islam, Islam is responsible for the Muslims doing this in the name of Islam, in the name of Allah, repeatedly, as if this even needs to be debated among sane people. But then the left is out there making videos and MTV spots about white America. Hey, white men, this is what you could be doing different. How about a little bravery and intellectual honesty? Hey, Islam, perpetrated and represented by Muslims. Here's what you could be doing a little bit differently. Build a hospital instead of blowing one up. Educate kids instead of strapping bombs onto them. Stop taking vehicles and running them into innocent people over holiday bazaars. I don't know, maybe a little more productive, maybe a little more tethered to the reality that we face. No. We're still in a land of tomfoolery. Second verse, same as the first, after you got your butt whooped, not only in Britain, but again in America, because of this same crap. And it would be laughable, and it would be stupid, and it would be just something to yawn at as conservatives, collect more and more power. But people are getting murdered. People are being killed because of this insanity. And yes, ideas have consequences. Is it the Democrat Party's fault that some insane lunatic Islamic terrorist murdered more people? No. But certainly that ideology of detachment, that ideology of deflection, that ideology of projection, and in some cases that ideology of camouflaging the perpetrator and protecting the perpetrator, that is an incubator. That is an opportunity for this stuff to flourish, like mold, like black mold on the walls of the West. That's why it's important. You can't write this nonsense. Listen, Obama issues order that evokes permanent banning of, let's just call it what it is, energy, American energy. a permanent ban with 30 days left in his administration. This is hours after telling Donald Trump not to use executive orders and not to force stuff through with the pen and the phone. This level of just insanity by way of what you think, the audacity. And the reason a president like Barack Obama thinks he can sit down with an interview that is broadcast on television and say, I'll tell you this, Donald Trump really shouldn't be doing any executive orders. I can tell you that. He should use the democratic process. It's the best way to go about things. Hours later, the guy issues some sort of like fiat from the lips of the almighty reverb-drenched Barack Obama. There will be no drilling. What I say, there's no drilling. I mean, it's just, ladies and gentlemen, if you have the media, you have academia, you're surrounded, intellectually inbred by people who are like, yes, they're like little minions, like minions on that movie, like the Deplorable Me or Despicable Me. That's the gaggle of people around. That's the only explanation for this. You can't sit down for an interview, say, don't use executive orders, hours later use executive orders. It's insane. It's madness. But look, here's what I'm going to tell you about this, my fellow Americans. Brighter sunrises are on the horizon. How do I know that? Well, executive orders have a funny boomerang situation, apparently lost on the administration. Now, certainly what he'll hope to do is lay down the foundation of this nonsense, and then when the Trump administration, inevitably hits it with a sledgehammer of reality, the leftist media and all the leftist goons and the whole leftist army and the megaphone that is the left will be like, oh my gosh, Donald Trump lifted the ban on fossil fuel drilling that Barack Obama just put in place a fart ago. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Totalitarianism, fascism, Hitler. That's what you will inevitably hear, and certainly that's the point of it. But we'll see how permanent the ban proves to be, and I'll just let it at that. New York Times scribbling some nonsense about that. Wall Street Journal has a better and more insightful take on the permanent ban. By the way, who's the authoritarian again? Right? I'm asking you that in a real sober sense. So Donald Trump, who isn't in power, right, at all, or the guy just speaking fiat into the air about your energy prices. There is these branches of government. There is this system. Is there any debate about that? It just didn't work out for Barack Obama. So he thought, screw it. I mean, is that not true? So I ask you again, who's the authoritarian? All I hear from MSNBC, PMSNBC, the Alphabet Soup, oh my gosh, Donald Trump, the authoritarian, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, first of all, has no power. Who is the sitting president and who is just speaking things into being as I speak to you? But it's great to be a Democrat. It's just great to be a Democrat in this sense because, at least as far as the media goes, it's just yawn fest and move on to the new fiction parade that they make up every day and then call news. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wall Street Journal also has an amazing piece on why, and it's inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, it should happen years ago, moving the United States Embassy to Jerusalem. It's time. And I really honestly think Trump's going to do that, and I just think that's amazing. Just pointing your attention to that. It's an insightful piece, Wall Street Journal. It's about time that the only democracy, the only beacon of light that represents any classical liberal ideas at all in the Middle East be represented and supported instead of mocked and maligned and undermined by the American partner. Young Americans, ladies and gentlemen, living with their parents is at a 75-year high. Not a good trend. Now, how does this couple with all the claptrap you hear about a great economy? Obama's leaving us such a great, vibrant, green grass of possibility economy. Now, if you don't count 100 million Americans who are flat on their back out of work, you get some nonsense statist, propaganda Soviet-style number that they came out with. I think it's under 4% or something laughable like that. I mean, that's awesome, right? Let's say you take the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys or, you name the team. And then you just don't count any of their losses. Well, then you could be like, undefeated season. All these fools deserve raises. Give them all raises. Give the coach a raise. Now, maybe there's like 9 losses on the books, but it's just awesome if you don't have to actually count those, right? That's essentially a layman's version of Democrat economics. And of course, these stories come out and just prove that, right? 75-year high. Essentially, an entire generation lost. Ingenuity, work ethic, people not in the workforce, living in their parents' moldy basement, masturbating to online porn, or listening to the latest claptrap from the outdated, old, white, rich, corrupt Democratic Party. Preparing to get some $50 check to protest something from MoveOn.org. That's the contribution that the Democrats and the left offer the economy, paying checks to people to faux protest. Another hate crime, ladies and gentlemen, that isn't a hate crime, exposed as a hoax. This one in a Mississippi black church. Look, the guy lit the church on fire and then sprayed "Vote Trump" on the side, and of course he got exposed. And listen, these are emerging and veering their head every week. And I ask you a simple question: what does it say about a quote unquote hate crime culture that the left is trying to defend you against, that has to fake these stories just to keep the fiction flame fanned? What does it say? What does it say? I mean, use your critical thinking. What does it say about a movement that has to fake this stuff just to keep it in the news? I'll leave that to your own God-given intellect. CBS News reporting that. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know this? In the not so great state of California, they had a ballot initiative. The ballot initiative asked the people of that state if they wanted to speed up the death penalties. So, the voters went in. Basically, you have these people in death row for 50 years or something. Do you want to speed this up? This is what's amazing. Despite the fact that California is left. Now, this is the same thing that happened with Prop 8, remember? Do you want gay marriage? The vote came back abundantly. No. But the left didn't like the answer. So, California courts, aka leftists, just throw it out. That's what they do. Now, here's the irony of this, right? They did that in the case of gay marriage. It just completely whitewashed, completely nullified the democratic voice of the people. Then we hear lectures about the popular vote in a electoral college system. So here they put a ballot initiative, a ballot measure on the presidential ballot. It comes back, the people voice their opinion, and the left says, we don't like it. So be gone with you. Do you see the intellectual dishonesty and the, hypocrisy in this? That's why I'm reporting it. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrea, I can't ever pronounce this guy's last name, but I have 4 of his records. He's got a gorgeous angel-like voice. Anyway, he was gonna perform at the inaugural, but got a bunch of hate, got a bunch of heat. HuffPost reporting this in their own biased way. This is what the left does, right? They culturally bully. It's what they do, right? It's just a reality. It's not nothing, because it does move the needle, as you can see. Bonicelli, or whatever the guy's name is. So my point here is, they don't like something, so they attack the person. They attack the individual. They threaten you. They threaten your career. They threaten your livelihood. By the way, just as a side note, that's the actual definition of fascism, authoritarianism, totalitarianism. The idea, this all projection on the left. They do the things that they claim other people do, but nonetheless, this is an example of that. I just think it's sad, but it's what they do, right? They pop culture bully. It's one of the tools they have. They can saturate pop culture. Everybody just fears. Everybody fears them. I would love for a couple people to stand up and have some bravery, and sometimes they do. But you can see it in the eyes. Even the conservative celebrities, they realize they're going to get trashed, attacked, maligned, slandered, all for what they think. Again, I remind you, that's actual totalitarianism. Eric Trump stops raising money for his charity. The left is spinning this somehow into pay-as-you-play, by the way. And that's what they do. They distort reality. But does this sound like a family that wants to manipulate the office of presidents for their own advantage? The guy stopped raising money for his charity. And by the way, it was a good charity. It was a good charity, but he stopped raising money for it. That's the actual truth. Now, the way they're going to report that to you is they're going to pretzel contort that into what they want it to be, which is Donald Trump and his family are sitting at the head of tables and making money and profiting. But this is actually what happened, and this is actually the reality. He stopped raising money for his charity because he saw it as a conflict of interest. Ladies and gentlemen, North Carolina stands firm on the transgender bathroom bill. In this case, the North Carolina Republicans would not be intimidated. I do not think the fact that Donald Trump was elected hurt them. I think it bolstered their confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, let the leftist hysteria begin. Let the leftist hysteria begin, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what this means. The rational human beings in North Carolina decided that grown men should not be allowed to go in and urinate beside little girls. Not really extreme. Only extreme if you're scribbling nonsense in the Upper East Side in the editorial room of the New York Times. They like to project that onto the minds and the opinions of the American people, but it isn't. Trust me, it isn't. I evidence you an election where the Democrats focused on guys with 5 o'clock shower peeing next to little girls, and the Republicans focused on prosperity, jobs, safety, and security. Proof is in the pudding on this one. And again, Democrats got beat. Democrats got beat because Republicans didn't cave. Democrats got beat in the presidential election because Republicans were bold and fearless in the case of Donald Trump, led by Donald Trump, exampled by Donald Trump, not by those reptilian, gaggle of never Trumpers that still stick around and they're out there like squeaking and hoping to get a little oil. Their wheels out there squeaking. I don't even know why somebody puts a mic in there. They're irrelevant. John McCain, I think this about this. These guys are irrelevant, right? They're irrelevant. They're gone. They're yesterday. They're dinosaurs. Nonetheless, and they're always pulled up. You see, there's Republican support for this. You got John McCain on board. That's Republican support in the left's mind. Anyway, there's an example of just winning, right? New study, ladies and gentlemen, red meat is good for you. I tell you, health, food, science is as fickle as the woman you are dating. And the weather. I mean, think of all the hamburgers and steaks we could have eaten that we didn't. Anyway, yeah, that a new study, ladies and gentlemen. The dailymail.co.uk has that. Ladies and gentlemen, in more left-wing insanity that is reality, a University of Kentucky professor punished for, quote-unquote, and I'm not kidding, sexual misconduct for singing a Beach Boys song in class. No appeal? That's a fact. This is the left. This is why, first of all, academia of lower education has lost all credibility in the minds of people. Everybody's like, the right is anti-intellect, the right is anti-science, the right is anti-academics. No, the left is anti-science. The left is anti-academics. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is the left in academia, in the ivory tower of academia. And this, ladies and gentlemen, to a sober, intellectually honest mind, is insane. I repeat, a professor punished for sexual misconduct. Talk about just hollowing out a word, defanging a word that we should still have in the lexicon of use. For singing a Beach Boys song. I think it's California Girls. Oh, it's so insane. They've lost their minds. This is what they focus on. This is why they need to be defeated. Reporting to you now from the Daily Mail. Former UK Archbishop removed from the leftist Hall of Fame. They used to just lavish this guy with praise and accolades. What character. What a pillar. What a giant in our time. All of a sudden, the guy came out with traditional views of marriage, which is actually marriage. I repeat, traditional views of marriage are marriage. It's just marriage. It's a man and a woman, which is marriage. That's what marriage is. Those views are now offensive, bigoted, hateful. So now the guy all of a sudden becomes a scumbag. See, now I cite you Donald Trump, right? Every one of these leftist claptrappers were praising Donald Trump. I just watched Home Alone 2. Donald Trump made a cameo in that. Oh, he was the darling of the town. He was a darling of Democrats. He was a darling of Hollywood. He was a darling of television. He was the darling of the Academy Awards. He was a darling of the Emmys until he stood in the way of leftist power. See, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true litmus test. That's somehow what the issue is. In this case, it's gay marriage, right? It could be pro-woman. It could be LGBT. It doesn't matter. That's not important. If you stand in the way of leftist power, social engineering, that's it. You're an enemy. You're a horrible person. See, that's what determines whether you're a horrible person, not whether you do good, not whether you are good, not whether you have character, not whether you're a good man or woman. No, do you stand in the way of leftist power? That determines whether you're a good person or not. That's the leftist yardstick for morality, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump wins again before even stepping one foot in office. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole world's revolving around him. The guy isn't even president yet. Boeing comes out and says, we're not only going to build 2 more Air Force One planes to meet Donald Trump's criteria, but we're going to do it under budget. This happens after having a meeting with Donald Trump. The guy comes out with glowing praise for Donald Trump. By the way, just to show you these CEOs, they're so fickle, right? They just lick their finger in March because the CEO was bowing down to Obama a little while ago. My point is Trump says, no, this is fiscally irresponsible. We're not going to just blow money on these contracts just because they know the right people. He sits down in a room with Boeing. They come out. They say, look, we're going to do it under budget. We're going to do it for less than $4 billion. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when a president rolls up his sleeves, has conversation with people, and they realize this is how it's going to go. The guy actually means what he says. All of a sudden, things get done. It's amazing. I'm already tired of winning. Win, 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 win. Tired of winning. Win, 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 win. Tired of winning. Win, win. Win, 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 win. That was just, a very poor representation of white man rap to salt the wound of my liberal listeners. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with this story. According to a new poll, and this is just remarkable, Democrats say happy holidays, but conservatives say Merry Christmas. This, of course, according to a new poll in StarTelegraph.com. Well, I'll leave you, my fellow Americans, with a very hearty, heartfelt, bold, and audacious Merry Christmas!